welcome to another album review with me, Joshua Smith, where today I'll be reviewing the album Mylo Xyloto by Coldplay. And one interesting thing about this album, especially its cover, is that if you take out the liner notes and you flip it and turn it and everything, you actually get an alternate album cover, which has MX on it. And it's gray in the background and everything. So honestly, I prefer the original cover like this. But it's a really cool feature to have a second alternate cover. But anyways, this album came out on October 19th, 2011. A little chart information about it: it peaked at number 17 on the U.S. Billboard 200. Number 4 on the U.S. Alternative Albums chart, number 7 on the U.S. Digital Albums chart, and number 4 on the U.S. Rock Albums chart. And has gone platinum in the U.S., selling over 1 million copies, and has gone quadruple platinum in the UK, selling over 1,300,000 copies. Of course, that whole measurement is different in different countries, so there's that. Anyways, the singles on this album are Every Teardrop is a Waterfall, Paradise, Charlie Brown, Princess of China, Up with the Birds with UFO as its B-side, Hurts Like Heaven, and Up in Flames. So let's get this started. The first track on the album is the title track, Mylo Xyloto. It's actually more of an intro for the album. It's an instrumental, and it's only about 40 seconds long before we come into the first track. It flows well into the first actual song with its strings and its build-up. So track number 2 is Hurts Like Heaven, which is the first actual song of the album, and it's fast-paced, it's heavy, and a great way to kick off the album. It has that signature rock element that Coldplay is so well known for. The song appears to be about how someone's love is like a beautiful weapon, being great and deadly at the same time. It can build you up and knock you down all the same, thus hurting like heaven. It's a great track to start, and certainly sets up what the rest of the album will contain. Track number 3 is Paradise. The mega hit track comes in early on this album. It's the song you've probably heard a million times over on the radio, and the one that certainly got stuck in your head. Interesting, yeah, very interesting about that. Regardless, Paradise is a great track and has all the elements of a hit. Great catchy melody, interesting lyrics, and simple instrumentals. It's a mid-tempo track that features some nice piano work by Chris Martin. It's a song about dreaming of something better, dreaming of the paradise that the song makes mention of. Is the best song on the album though? In my opinion, not really. It's really the only song from the album that people ever talk about. When there are so many other great tracks in there, that kind of makes me a little sad. But anyways, track number 4 is Charlie Brown. Another great track on this album. The title may say Charlie Brown, but it actually has nothing to do with the classic Peanuts character. It has a lot of the same feel of Paradise, but instead of piano being the main instrument, this time it's the acoustic guitar. It appears to be about being youthful and simply enjoying life as a young person, making the most of what you have, make moments last while they can, all of that. So in that aspect, it does have a connection with Peanuts, but not a direct connection with it. At the end, we're treated to a light piano tune that would kind of remind someone of those Peanuts cartoons, especially the classic Christmas special, which is what I grew up watching as a kid. Anyways, track number 5 is Us Against the World. Perhaps one of the most sincere and solemn tracks on the album. For the most part, it's acoustic, with the grunt of it just being acoustic guitar, with occasional keyboards and such. It's very intimate, as it talks about making it through this world and all of its craziness. As the song builds up, it becomes all the more emotional and then calms down once again, like a thunderstorm. Now, track number 6 is MMIX. Usually these Roman numerals would stand for the number 2009, or perhaps the year 2009. However, according to Chris Martin, it doesn't stand for anything at all, and it's just a collection of letters. Regardless, it's an interesting title for a song which, again, is only around 40 or so seconds long, and much like the intro track, it's an instrumental. It's only a series of sound effects over 2 chords. Now, track number 7 is Every Teardrop is a Waterfall. Next is the synthesized pop track that certainly sets itself apart from typical Coldplay fare. And this was the theme of the whole album. It would feature more synthesizers and drum tracks, which would become the theme for the following album, Ghost Stories. albeit that they wanted to make that more acoustic. It's full of stadium rock goodness as it talks about how we as youth must stand up for what we believe in, and no matter how much society tries to hurt us, we'll still fight. Chris talks about how he doesn't want to see another generation drop, and that they can hurt you bad but still raise the flag. Very positive message and definitely a great track on this album. Now we come to track number 8, Major Minus. One of my personal favorite tracks on this album. Major Minus is pure rock through and through. It's heavy, it's strong, and has a really intense riff with really intense lyrics. The lyrics, however, are a little complex, as it appears as though they're about a fictional character that's based on different politicians and stuff. Um, from the sounds of it, it's about watching your back and not believing everything you hear. It's fast paced and is certain to rock any stadium. Now we come to track 9, UFO. More acoustic goodness fills this short track. Near the middle, beautiful strings are added to the mix to make it all the more solemn. It appears to be about finding your way, like you're an unidentified flying object in the world. Other than acoustic guitar, strings, and Chris's singing, there isn't much else to this track. But like Us Against the World, it definitely leaves its mark as one of the more intimate sections on this album. Now, track number 10 is Princess of China. This track is all pop, plain and simple. Right down to the synthesizers and even Rihanna, of all people, being featured on this track. Does that take away from its rock nature? Not one little bit. However, it's curious that they would write a song like this. It feels like it, goes from a Coldplay album song, just Coldplay song rather, into a Rihanna song later in the track. It's almost like it's two different songs in one. Um, it takes much influence from traditional Chinese music and its chord progression, so that's really interesting to note. Track number 11 is Up in Flames. Here we come to a track that, in my opinion, would foreshadow what Ghost Stories would be like. It's few instrumentals, mainly just being piano, drum track, synthesizers, and strings. It's kept simple, and it's dark, somber track about dysfunctional relationship going up in flames, as the title suggests. It's another one of those intimate points in the album, and even though it's not as acoustic as some of the others, that doesn't take away from its heartfelt nature at all. Now, track number 12 is A Hopeful Transmission. Once again, we have an instrumental track that's only about 30 seconds this time. It borrows the same chord progression from the initial opening track, but uses some percussional tools to make it sound almost like there's some construction or building going on. It makes me think of a robot or machine being built by a good-natured and hopeful inventor. It's a departure from the previous track, and as perhaps it's meant to build hope for something that seemed so hopeless. It's also notably faster in tempo than the title track. Now we have track number 13, Don't Let It Break Your Heart. This heavy stadium rock track is full of upbeat instrumentals. It's a wall of constant sound that never quits, and actually feels more like Every Teardrop is a Waterfall, as a matter of fact. Perhaps this could be a sister track to that one. It's a song about not giving up in the same vein that Every Teardrop is a Waterfall is, so there's that. Only in the end does it settle down, but throughout this track it's meant to empower youth to not give up their hopes and dreams. Now, track number 14 is Up With the Birds. The final track is more of those slow, somber tracks and kind of reminds the listener of Us Against the World, but instead featuring more piano than anything else, next to the synthesized strings. Chris sings rather low on this one, and interestingly enough, after the initial opening of this track, it flows into a new section that's more up-tempo. It has acoustic guitar. It's in no way, heavy, but notably stronger than the first half of the track. It's a definite conclusion to the album, saying that all is at rest and to start life anew. Overall, this was a definite departure from previous Coldplay albums, as it had a bigger focus on synthesized instruments and such. It was a new direction that the band was taking, and fortunately it was successful in many people's eyes. However, many people only seem to talk about Paradise when there are so many other great tracks on this album. It goes to show that radio overplay does have a part in a great song becoming a meh song. But aside from that, I love this album. I've listened to it a million times over, and it never gets old. I am more of a fan of their earlier work, but this album is truly a landmark in their career. Well, anyways, thank you for joining me in this another review, and if you want a song or album reviewed that you like or may suggest, just leave a comment down below, and I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. But anyways, thank you, and so long.